Hi everyone, I'm Shruthi Kamath. I'm so excited to be here as a speaker at Day of Security, and yes, Namaste from India. Well, you might be wondering what a long title. I actually did not think this through while submitting the paper that, this is how it's going to look on the slides. So yeah, I do have a long title. All right. So the agenda for today would be I'll talk a little about me and what I do, and then what the problem statement is, and what is that the customers are expecting, and what is that we as security teams do, and how is that you can meet customer expectations to deliver outstanding project management results, right? Well, a little about me. I've been in the IT industry for about 9 years now, and with the security domain for about 7+ years. I've worked as a developer, security consultant, and then eventually moved into a client facing role. I currently work as a customer success manager at AppSeco. At AppSeco, we are an application and a cloud security specialist company that works with various organizations across the globe on daily basis. I also co-founded the initiative, the Infosec Girls, which is a community for women to support women in information security, right? Which is now being led by a group of leads globally. Well, other than that, I did start a podcast called The Stories of Infosec Journeys, which is also collaborating with the Day of Security conference. So the podcast basically celebrates stories of people in the information security community, right? So the guest typically talks about their journey and some of the challenges and learnings that they've had as part of the journey, and if they have any advice for the newcomers. Do check it out. I'm currently covering the Indian community stories, so they are pretty interesting, I would say. All right. So today, like I mentioned, like my title says, I'll be talking a little about my experience of working with customers and security teams, and how through some tips that I learned over time, I was able to help with bridging the gap, right? So I think I can talk about this because I have been both on the customer facing role as well as worked in a security team, right? So I have a pretty reasonable understanding of how things work on both the sides. So I'll be talking a little on my experience of working in the service industry. Okay, so if you have heard stories or lived through stories of customers who are unhappy with the services that we provided or the work that has been done, right? That is because the security testing team did not provide what is that they were looking for. Well, if that sounds familiar to you, we are on a similar board, I would say. And typically, these situations arrive because there has been a gap in what was promised and what was delivered, right? So, what is that customers are expecting? Let's say a customer is looking for a security service for their company. So what could that mean? It could mean that they're looking for a pen test service, or it could mean that they're looking to set up for someone to review their security setup, or it could mean that they're trying to build a security program from scratch. It could mean anything. So it's really important that we understand that what is that the customer actually wants. But let me tell you this: you need to know that what the customer is asking for and what is that they want can be very different, right? So the reason for this is that sometimes they could just be figuring out what is that they're looking for, or they're probably not clear on what is that they want. Or sometimes it could just be that somebody has asked them what is that this is a specific security service that they need to look for, and they're just following instructions, right? It could be that. All right. So what is that we as security teams do? So we try to understand how we can fit in this requirement into the existing services that we have, or we tell them that, hey, listen, these are the list of services that we have. So maybe we can help you with this by doing so and so services. Or we could just try creating an entire service just to fit into their requirement. So when you do this, right, there are two outcomes. So the client is really happy with what you offered, and it's basically we did everything that we asked for, everything that they asked us for, and now they love working with us, and they're going to come back to working with us, right? Or it could be that the client is unhappy with what is that we offered them, and because it did not meet their expectations. And this expectation mismatch could have been happened because of lack of communication, or there has been a misunderstanding of actually understanding what the requirement is, or probably we were not clear enough of what is that we will provide them, right? So what is that they should expect from us. So if you see here, this is how the gap would look like. So the client expected that we would fit into their world, and then we as security teams delivered based on fitting into our world, right? Okay. So how is that you can meet this customer expectations? But well, so I do have some pointers which I like mentioned earlier that I have learned over time. First thing is understanding what is that the customer actually wants, right? So when I say this, what I mean is that try understanding the reason why a customer is looking for a specific requirement, right? What is that they're trying to achieve? Ask the question why, because it's important to understand why they are looking for it. Like for instance, which I mentioned earlier, right? Let's say if a client is looking for a pen test of their application, ask them why are you looking for this pen test? Is it because somebody asked you to do it, or is it because you're trying to safeguard your data? It could be anything. So understanding this will actually help you explain to them what is the value add that you can bring, and that will definitely like make them feel assured that hey, you know what, this person actually understood what I'm trying to explain, and I can be sure that they can do a pretty good job at it. So that's probably one of the ways that the customer would be sure about wanting to work with you, right? The second thing would be empathy. So when I say empathy, I cannot like stress the how underrated the skill is, because it took me like my current job to realize that how important of a skill this is, right? In cybersecurity. So basically, trying to put yourself in the shoes of the customer and understanding why they're doing this, what is that they want, how we can do this for them, so that we can help them solve the problem that they are wanting to solve. So basically, working with them as partners rather than just any other vendor, and helping them solve their pain points with regards to security, right? So when you have this empathetic nature, it's easier to understand what is that they want. So let me give you let me tell you a story that I had to like in one of the experiences that I had with one of our customers, right? So we had this one specific customer who was pretty new, like fairly new to the pen test process, but all they knew was that that they need to get a cloud infrastructure testing done, and they did not know what exactly that they had to do. So we basically explain to them what is that they get as a value as part of doing that specific pen test, and then we help them understand the end-to-end process of what happens in this specific process, right? And then we were there to guide them at every step, starting from the project planning till the time the project was executed with reports being delivered. So when this happened, and as part of our process, when I asked them that, hey, can you give us a feedback on how your experience was of working with us? They did mention explicitly that they loved working with us because we worked with them as partners, and we did not be like just another vendor who gives them like a report and then then the project is done. We were there with them throughout, and even after the project is over, and we helped them solve the problem or fix the issues, right? So we were there with them with every step. So that really made them happy, and that gave them that assurance that we're going to be there. So they had a very delightful experience of working with us. So that's why being empathetic is important. So the next thing I want to talk about is going above and beyond, right? So this is basically where you're providing information to your customers where that is going to add value to them, right? To the work that they are doing, so that it's going to add value to the service that you're providing, right? Or it could be that you're basically making their lives easy, or it could be that you could be making them look good in their organizations. Like let's say they recommended your company to work with, and then if you do a great job, of course it's going to make them look good in front of their respective bosses, right? So, of course, that should not be the only reason to be going above and beyond. So, the main thing is adding value. And I would like to share like stories here where I had to work like this with multiple customers and who is like really happy. So, yet again, we had another customer who was fairly new to the pen test process. And in both of these cases, the common scenario was the volume of work was really large, right? And one of them was, again, fairly new to the pen test process. And then there was another, which was like a fintech industry. And this client point of contact, right, was like really busy. a very busy person that he actually couldn't like step in and take care of step by step things that happen as part of the project, right? So what my team and I decided to do is that we're going to step up and we're going to help them figure out with the planning and tell them that, hey, this is what we're planning to do, and this is the timeline that we're going to plan and get the project executed. So we did this in both customers, right? Customer case scenarios, right? Me and my team, right? So, and then what happened was when this project was being executed, we would give them like frequent updates as to what was going on, and then like a dashboard view of what are the applications that tested, what are the current findings that we have found, what is that you have to work on fixing. So it was in a very dashboard view, and that's of course like going to be easier, right? So you just take a look at it, and then you get an idea of what's going on. So it really made their lives easy. Like for the busy person, of course, it was useful because they could just take a look at it and then say, okay, now I know where the project stands and I know what is that I have to plan for next, right? So although it was not part of my job description that we had to plan the entire project planning to execution, we just had to take care of the project execution and ensuring that the reports were delivered in time. But my team and I decided to step up and go above and beyond and help them. And of course, with this, it was a very delightful experience for them. So with that, as you can see the quote on my slide, what is that people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel, right? So if you make sure that you give your customers a delightful experience, or if you've made them feel good, they are definitely going to remember you and they are going to come back to working with you. So that I would say also could be like a key for customer retention. All right, so moving on, the next one is regular communication and updates. So about this, I would say like providing frequent updates or communication as to what's going on currently with regards to the project or any work that you have been doing with regard to the client, right? Telling them what's happening and giving them timely and prompt updates really helps, because sometimes what happens is that they could be planning their work based on your updates, right? So you have to make sure that they get an update as to what's going on. Let's say, for example, right, yet another example I would like to give is that there is a client that you are working on and you have to deliver a report to them tomorrow. And today is when you find out that there has been some issue and there is a potential delay that this report is not going out on time, right? So the moment you find out about it, just make sure that for sure there could be a delay, and or if you see that there's a potential of it being a delay, it's good to give that heads up to the client saying that, hey, listen, I think there's going to be a potential delay with this, so we'll try our best to deliver it tomorrow. If it doesn't happen, you will get the report and so things, right? So giving that communication to them or letting them know about it, that will be helpful. The reason being, if the client has planned their work based on your activities or your updates, or the next set of activities is dependent on that report delivery, then it is going to play a key role, right? So let's say you decide, for some reason you are not able to inform early, and then on the day of delivery or like 3-4 hours before the delivery, if you go and tell the client, hey, so sorry, we cannot deliver this report, then you can expect them to be upset about it, right? Because they had planned their entire work based on that. They could have a boss who's asking for a report, or they could have a customer who's waiting for that report, and they would have given the same communication that you updated them. Or like they're completely unaware. In cases where you have not given them updates, they could be completely unaware as to what's going on. So keeping them updated frequently as to what's going on, that's really useful, right? So I'm personally of the belief that it's okay if you have to over communicate on updates, because it's always good to have updates and to know what's going on, so you can plan your activities and tasks accordingly. The next one being direct honesty. This is my personal favorite, honestly, because if you cannot do something, right, what the customer is asking for, it's okay. It's absolutely okay to tell them that, hey, sorry, we won't be able to help you with this, because it's really helpful to be honest, and it really saves your time and in fact their time as well, right? And also with this, you won't be setting any unrealistic expectations, and most clients actually appreciate this when you tell them honestly that, hey, sorry, we won't be able to help you with this. So at Apsecco, we actually follow this on a regular basis. So let's say if a client wants to do a specific service that we are not offering, or if they have a specific timeline that they want to start the assessment on, right? And we cannot accommodate it in either of the cases. We tell them, of course, in a polite manner, that hey, listen, we are extremely busy at the moment, so maybe we can help you a little later on this. Or if it's specific to the service, we tell them that, hey, so sorry, thank you for your interest, but so sorry that we won't be able to help you with this specific service, because we want to ensure that we deliver services which stay up to our usual high standards, right? So if there's a service that you can't, then just let them know. So this it's good to be honest and let the client know if there's something that you can't do, and not set any unrealistic expectations. So here, by being honest, you're basically setting expectations in advance, right? And the last one being constant check-ins and feedback. So feedbacks are extremely important. It's important that you check in with your customers regularly and ask for feedback. So check in with them to ask how are they doing? Are they happy with what we are offering them? Or is there anything that we can improve, right? Because they will always have something to say. Most of the time, it could be the case that nobody asked them, right? What is that they feel about our work? So that is why they probably couldn't be giving us that update, right? So asking for that feedback is important. So one of the ways that you could be doing is sending like a feedback form after the project, right? And asking them, hey, can you give us a feedback? Then you will get clarity of what's working for you, what's not working. Is there anything that you need to change in the process, or anything that you need to address with regards to your current ways of working in the team, right? So feedbacks are always helpful and important, because sometimes it could also be the case that just because the customer is not telling anything, you might think that, okay, you know what, they did not really complain about anything, so maybe they're happy with what we are doing, right? So let's not go on to that assumption. It's good that you ask them for feedback and stuff, right? And another important thing is, right, when you ask for this feedback, there could be customers who are not satisfied with what you have done, right? So addressing those customers who are not satisfied with your work, like by telling them that, hey, we understand that you're not satisfied with what we have done. We're really sorry about it, but what is that we can do to delight you, right? So asking them that, so that you can fix what has happened, and giving them a good experience by fixing whatever that did not make them happy. So that also helps. So at least that time, at that point in time, the customer will realize that, hey, you know what, they actually care, right? They care about how we feel, and they want to fix this for us, and they feel valued. They get their assurance that you actually care about what they're doing and you want to help them genuinely. So yeah. So I quickly want to summarize the takeaways. It's always important to ask the why. So if a client has a specific requirement, ask them why they have that requirement and what you can do with that, and be a partner. And when I say be a partner, help your customers solve the problems, and make them feel that you're there for them to solve the problems, and not point out any mistakes of how they have done something, right? And have empathy. Like I mentioned, I cannot stress enough on this specific skill, which is very underrated. So you need to understand that it's not just about the tech work, right? It's also about making them feel assured with the work that we do, and making them feel that, you know what, we're going to be there with you and guide you at every step, so that way they get that assurance from us. So that's all I had. And if you want to connect with me, you can reach out to me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And please feel free to tune into my podcast. It's hosted on Anchor, and you can follow the podcast social media page on Twitter, Instagram, and FB. And I do also have a page on LinkedIn for the podcast. So do check it out if you want to stay updated on when the episodes will be released. All right. So any questions? Thank you, Bishaka. All right. So if there are no questions, then thank you.